I'm absolutely a fun-going person. Actually, believe that if you keep smiling, the same positivity will radiate on to everybody, and people around you will always feel happy. That's the thing I always wish.
Namaskaram, Sarvesh. It is my great pleasure to have you as my guest on Chat with Chithra Season 2. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm feeling great, very happy, and honored to be on this chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sarvesh, you are an exponent. You are an upcoming and young professional and an exponent of South Indian percussion. If I'm right, it is Konnakol, Vrindangam, and Morsing, right? So,
I play, of course, I play a wide array of percussion instruments. I play the mridangam, gatam, ganjira, morsing, tawil. I also play other percussion instruments like the tabla, dolak, dolki, and sonic. So I'm a multi percussionist to say the least. But I don't know if I'm an professional. I'm a professional artist, but I don't know if I'm an exponent in all of them.
amazing. You're so very versatile. Have you always wanted to be a percussionist, right, from your young age?
Of course, because coming from a percussionist family myself, my father is Sri Dr. Gatam Karthik. So he's a professional Gatam player. So being in the family, I would say percussion was always the thing I was listening to, or maybe the thing I was born and brought up and maybe molded along with. So it's been part
Right.
of my life since my birth.
Right.
And I got fascination. I got the fascination on a lot of percussion instruments, and traditionally I started learning only the mridangam, to be
Uh-huh.
honest.
Right.
And I wanted to try my hand on other percussion instruments. And of course, my father being a Gatam artist, I tried my hand first on the Gatam.
Hmm.
And then I expanded it onto the Ganjira and Morsing. And then I tried other percussion instruments from the northern part of India, like the tabla, dolak, dolki, and all
Hmm.
those instruments. Then I ventured into the electronic percussion side, which I have here, which is the hand sonic and the rhythm pads and everything. So,
Right.
to be honest, I took vocal lessons when I was young and
Hmm.
also mridangam lessons. But my interest was 10% on vocal and 90% on mridangam lessons. So you can say from my childhood, I was more keen and interested towards percussion, and I've been developing it. I'm still learning.
Fantastic. What would you say is your most important, or rather, the most that one percussion that you're really, really amongst the entire gamut of percussion that you play? What is that one percussion that you would say, yes, I'm really confident with this instrument?
Uh, I would say it's the mridangam because that's what I learned traditionally. Other instruments, I play it with their authentic fingering techniques and proper patterns, but my forte is always the mridangam.
Excellent. So, what a contrast, right? Your father being a very distinguished Ghatam artist, and I've had the honor to speak to him as well earlier. His son, an exponent of Mridangam. So, do you often have a kind of musical or a dialogue between the percussion, between as a father and son? Have you had this opportunity?
To be honest, we have it every day, every time, 24 into 7.
Fantastic.
Always our discussions are music based or maybe percussion based or something creative. And the huge pleasure or the huge plus that I have is that we don't bond like a father and a son. We bond like friends and we bond like co artists. So that's a huge bonus for me. So he treats me as a co-artist. He tells me some idea. He asks me to develop it. So at that time he becomes my teacher, and it's a beautiful relationship when two people from the same family, that too a father and son, being in the same field, and sometimes the crazy discussions we have, it goes out of hand. I think you should ask my mother how she feels about it, because she's the one seeing both of us.
Absolutely. I mean, it is so nice to have such a beautiful relationship, in terms of, as a father and son. And your
Absolutely.
father, as a teacher, gives you the creativity and the freedom to be more creative, in
Absolutely
whatever you are, you wish to experiment with the percussion. And as you said rightly, yes, your mother is the pillar who really, witnesses all these and creates a balance between both of you in
true,
case
true,
things
true.
go crazy.
True, very true, very true. She's the one who balances out things. Sometimes we go into discussions and we forget to even have our dinner. She's the one who comes and picks us up and moves us away and come makes us come back to normal, to say.
That's so nice. God bless her. You're really blessed to have such a kind of support, which every artist, I think, upcoming and professional young artist needs, particularly
Very
in
true.
these days, isn't it?
Very
Yeah.
true, very true.
Mm.
Because the support from your parents is a huge bonus. Whatever you do, whatever field you may be in, you can be a percussionist, you can be a vocalist, or you can be an IT professional, or you can be some any professional you are. The family support which you get is the main backbone of any work you do, and it's even more important for a musician because a musician generally is usually a crazy person because his creative thoughts leads him to somewhere,
Yeah.
and sometimes he loses track of what he's doing.
Mm-mm.
So
Mm.
at that time, the family support and bringing everything together and projecting ourselves as a as a whole artist relies largely on the family's support. That too, coming from a musical family myself, I know its value to the core possible.
That's beautiful. I know you are from a musical family. So, one thing I'm curious to know is how is your relationship with your sister? Do
Oh,
you
my
have the
sister.
normal fights as a brother and sister, or is it more to do with, you look at her from as a musician or as an artist, and she vice versa? How does it work?
Absolutely, both the things happen. Of course, being brother and sister, the normal kind of fights like for a chocolate or maybe like
Yeah.
chips, those normal fights do happen.
Mm.
But when it comes to art or when it comes to music or anything, she's learning Bharatanatyam. So
Mm.
she's learning Bharatanatyam and she's practicing it. She's also learning vocal music. She studies in Kalakshetra.
Uh-huh. Right. Very good.
So when it comes to musical side, I try my best to give whatever inputs I can from my side because seeing all the other artists, even the senior artists, being in the same age group as her, only
Mm.
we are only 4 years apart. So my perspective of seeing senior artists and performing along with them, I usually love sharing it with my sister and making her feel the same thing and preparing her for the next stage to come because when she goes out and performs, all these what I have faced and what I have told her will definitely compliment her.
That's so nice because, in other words, you're slowly grooming her through your experience. That's amazing. Yes, of course, as you said rightly, the brother sister fights. That is the most natural thing to happen, right? If
That
you're
usually
part of a
happens.
family.
That usually happens because we will be fighting now and after 5 minutes we'll be all cool together, we'll be
Yeah.
having fun, we'll be playing. So
Hmm.
it naturally happens in all families, so it happens here too.
Fantastic. I also understand that you have got a studio of your
Absolutely.
own. So you are a graduate in visual and arts communication. Is that right,
Yeah,
Sarvesh?
yeah, I'm a graduate in visual effects.
In visual effects, okay. How did you get this interest into audio and sound engineering, and what really prompted you to have? What was the need for you to have a studio of your own? What is it that, besides, I know you would be recording and mastering several other tracks, with your friends or other professionals who approach you. But as a musician, as a percussionist, what was that really prompted within you to really have a studio of your own? I would like to hear your perspective. What really made you think that, yes, I should have a studio of my own? And what do you really want to do with that further?
Yes, so basically my journey with having a studio or how I built a studio is actually a very funny story,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in 2013 14, when I was around 14 years old, my dad went on a trip to the USA,
Mm.
and that was the time when musicians were also venturing into the tech world,
Mm.
and they were also exploring.
Mm.
And we got good reviews that the MacBook Pro is a good system for musicians, and having so and so software and Logic Pro, whatever the Pro Tools and whatever the softwares were all very beneficial for musicians.
Mm. Mm.
So my dad got a MacBook Pro, and he just put in the software and he was trying it out. At that time, when he wasn't around, I used to go in and I used to fiddle around with the softwares and try to learn something through YouTube and everything.
Mm. Mm.
And suddenly, my school friend, he was directing a short film when I was in the 11th or 12th grade.
Mm.
uh, from 2013 14 time till I came to the 11th grade, I slowly learnt very basic stuff.
Mm.
And when my friend asked me if I could do music for the short film, I
Mm.
had no experience, I had nothing. So
Mm.
I was just like, okay, let me do it. But I had no experience.
Right.
And that opportunity gave me a great platform to learn the software and expand my skills. So I composed the short film's background score only using the ABCD keyboards of the laptop itself. I didn't even have a professional keyboard back then.
Mm. Mm.
So when I did that, that opened up a lot of new perspectives for me.
Sure.
And I got fascinated by the concept of sound and how sound is produced
Mm.
and how it can be captured and modified and given as different packages to create different feels, different genres, and everything. So I started listening a lot. I invested in some small equipments and started learning it myself.
Mm.
And slowly I started recording my own music, and I started recording my friends. It spread. A few more people came to record. Then I collaborated with some artists up from abroad,
Mm.
and a lot of things, beautiful things happened, and it all led me to making my own studio. So I
Mm.
had a very basic setup, and then I made it professional. The studio is where I am sitting now. So I constructed the studio back in 2020 during the lockdown time. I
Mm.
decided, okay, let me venture into the studio space. Of course, I am still learning, but the main goal for me to take up sound engineering was that I am not a professional sound engineer, or I didn't learn professionally from anybody.
Mm.
So it was
Mm.
all trial and error and what I learned myself.
Sure.
So this the core aspect for me to have my own studio is the beauty of sound, is the least I can say, because the different sounds produced by different instruments, how the frequencies blend in with each other. For
Mm.
example, if a tabla and mridangam is playing,
Mm.
both are almost similar tonic instruments, but they
Mm.
blend in such a beautiful manner.
Sure.
So then I started studying the frequencies, I started studying the different concepts of sound engineering, and still I'm slowly grooming myself. And of course, I hope to groom myself and become better more and more.
That's really so nice to hear, and I want to wish you all the very best. What's the name of your studio, Sarvesh?
My studio is named Swaraksharam Studios. So
Mm.
Swaraksharam is a very beautiful concept in music, that too especially Carnatic music,
Mm.
where the swara or the note and the akshara in the lyrics collide. So if
Beautiful.
the person is singing the ma, and the word also has the letter ma wherever the swara comes, when they collide, it's that concept is known as swaraksharam. So that was a very beautiful concept which a lot of legends like Balamurali sir have explored
Yeah.
and
Mm.
like created a lot of oceans of kritis using them. So that concept, I was very fascinated by that concept, and I decided to have that name.
Fantastic. So now that you are trying to establish yourself as a percussionist, what makes Sarvesh Karthik different from the other percussionists? that we see today?
Absolutely, that's a great question because when you ask that question, I have to analyze myself to say what is best in me.
Sure.
So, in I'll maybe start out like this. In maybe a 30, 40 years in the past, when people used to do multiple things, like when people used to play the mridangam, the gatam, ganjira, morsi, everything together,
Mm.
and when they used to do everything together, people used to say, please concentrate on one thing. Don't
Multitask.
go out onto multiple tracks and confuse yourself, or don't go out onto multiple tracks and do everything little, little, little and leave it like that.
Mm.
Take one thing and concentrate on it and do it to the full potential, is what people used to say.
Sure.
But I believe in the modern times, multifaceted skills is what people like in modern times. So people, they like to do the music themselves, they like to play their guitar themselves, keyboard themselves, something like that is what the music field or the music ideas are going towards in the modern times. So me being a multi percussionist, it gives me a wide spectrum of
Mm.
genres to explore and learn, because I believe learning is eternal and we keep learning till the day we die.
Sure.
So that continues, that's a never ending process. But the main thing which makes me unique, or maybe the main thing that will make a good percussionist or a good musician to say, is that we have to value the music,
Mm.
value we give for the music and the content of the music, whatever genre it can be, whatever instrument you can be playing, whatever means of communication you may be having.
Mm.
But the content of the music and how you communicate it to the audience is the most important point of any form of music. That too, me being prominently a Carnatic musician, Carnatic music is a very structured format which has been, with the structure we have been following it for centuries
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So, keeping the structure in mind, still we have to present it in a modern package.
Mm. Mm.
But the traditional value should not be lost, the content and the musicality should not be lost.
Mm.
So, that is the main aspect of anybody who can be a good percussionist or maybe even a good musician, to say as a whole.
That's so beautifully said. And also, with the other important thing that you mentioned a little earlier was in today's times, every artist, particularly a musician or a percussionist, has to self-equip themselves, right? By trying to experiment,
Very
explore
true. Because
different.
in modern times, if you see a pop album,
Mm.
the musician who writes the lyric will be the same person who will be doing the keyboard programming also.
Mm. Mm.
So it is a two different paths of thinking. So
Mm.
he has to write the music, also produce it.
Mm.
So they are two different pathways,
Extremes.
but the
Yeah.
same person can do it. So
Mm.
it's all in the mindset and how we present it. That's it.
Beautiful. What is that one thing that you're most grateful for today?
That I'm a musician, because I can't say anything else, because being a musician, experiencing music, living with music, and doing it as a profession, of course, getting paid for it,
Sure.
everything put together, because as in the scriptures it's mentioned, in this yuga, or what we call as Kali Yuga,
Yeah.
it is said that music is the only means to gain moksha. So, any person who is in music is automatically granted moksha after his death, is the concept we all believe in our traditional scriptures. Me being in music, being a musician, able to perform music, able to say the God's name every day, that's the most beautiful thing I can ever ask for.
Fantastic. And what's your vision for the next 5 to 10 years, Sarvesh? What is it that you envisage?
Absolutely. My vision for maybe the next 5 to 10 years is that I'm also starting to do a little bit of music production. I'm planning on doing a few albums of my own, and I also plan on expanding my studio and hoping to record more and more artists, create more content,
Certainly.
and create more valuable content. The content which I hope at least will stay for years to come, and people should enjoy it
Mm.
and appreciate it even after 10 years. That's what I like to work towards.
That's really very inspiring. I would love to, wish you all the very best, and you must have many more success in the years to come.
So
And
much.
I look forward to meeting you in person when I visit you in Chennai.
Same here.
So now we move on to the next segment of the chat, which is called the lighter side of you. Okay.
Oh, sure.
So what's your favorite number and why?
My favorite number is 13 because I was born on March 13th.
Hmm.
So some people consider the number 13 to be unlucky, but since I was born on the 13th, I feel it's the luckiest number I can have. So I like the number 13 very much.
Fantastic. What was your favorite subject in school?
That's a tricky question to answer because half the time in school I was in some music competition, some music bhajan
Right.
competition, and everything. So I would say my favorite subject in school was Sanskrit because
Oh.
I loved that language very much. So much so that I took up the science group in my school just because they were offering the Sanskrit language as an elective subject. So that's the kind of love I have for Sanskrit.
Fantastic. Describe yourself in 5 words.
Creative, maybe I can say I'm charming. I can say I'm crazy sometimes. Person who thinks well ahead in time and plans for it. Musician. Musician is a adjective in itself because musician is a separate sect of people.
Right. So are you a fun going or a very serious person?
I'm absolutely a fun going person. Actually believe that if you keep smiling, the same positivity will radiate on to everybody and people around you will always feel happy. That's the thing I always wish.
That's very true as well. If you could have an unlimited supply of one thing, what would that be?
All the musical instruments and gadgets in the world.
Wow.
I
Super
like to
ambitious.
Yeah, because I like to always try my hands on different new instruments, and since I'm also into the audio engineering side, I also wish to try my hands on different equipments, learn their sound, how they sound, how to incorporate it in my genre of music or the genre of music I work in. So I would like to have maybe all the musical gadgets and musical instruments as my
Interesting.
unlimited supply.
Interesting. If you could learn any language in a week, what would that be?
I would say two languages which I like very much.
Mm-hmm.
Because one is Russian and one is Telugu. I'm a Tamilian by birth, and I also live in Tamil Nadu, so I speak Tamil very well. But I would like to learn Telugu
Mm.
and Russian
Right.
because, like I said, my
Sorry, excuse
no,
me. Mm.
no, like I said, my fascination towards the language Sanskrit is very much that I can sense the influence of the language Sanskrit in both Telugu and Russian. So I would like to learn both of these languages to explore it more and see their relations with Sanskrit and learn more.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Name a song that makes you happy.
Mm.
I know you will have many.
There are a lot of songs which make me happy, but the one song that makes me happy always, or the one song that I can listen to how many ever times I listen, is my father's Ratipati Priya Tillana. So
Ah.
it's a very beautiful piece in the raga Ratipati Priya,
Hmm.
which my father composed in memory of his father, my grandfather, after his demise. Something I feel that my grandfather's presence is felt in that piece. So whenever I listen to that piece, I always feel happy.
Excellent. What is that one food that you would never want to give up?
Of course, I am a pakka South Indian food lover. So any South Indian food you give me, I'll be content and happy. I don't need anything else. So
Hmm.
in that, my most favorite food is curd rice.
So is mine. Would you like to play a short a piece for our viewers?
Absolutely. So I'll just play maybe a short piece on the mridangam.
Sure. Please. Fantastic. We now come to the end of this very, very lively and inspiring chat, Sarvesh. Thank you so much for being
Thank
my guest today. I'd like to wish you all the very best and many more success in the years to come. Thank you so much, and I look forward to meeting you in person and your family as well.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Thank you. Thank you so much.